you been, Uncle Daryl?
I'm doing great.
So I gotta wait till this router charge.
What?
Oh my goodness, but it looked like we live.
Are we?
Yeah, we are live, and I didn't even know it.
You ready?
So I guess we're ready. Here you go.
What's up, everybody? It's the Hoodoo Hunt Show, and I'm Mary's niece, back at it again with another video for y'all today. And today we have a special guest. This is my Uncle Daryl. And yeah, I'm gonna let him introduce himself, and y'all get familiar with him and stuff. Let's go.
Da, 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 da. I heard you were looking for me.
I was looking for you, honey. I was looking for you. Yeah. We are doing great. How are you?
I'm doing excellent.
Oh my goodness, thank you for coming on the show. For those of you all who don't know, I'm Aunt Mary's niece, and we have the Hoodoo Honcho. She's in the back. She didn't want to be on camera because she wanted to flex out to her own station. That's the name of your YouTube, right?
Flexed out, yes.
Yeah, flexed out. But we also have Uncle Daryl, and we ask that you go ahead, subscribe to Uncle Daryl as well as to Aunt Mary's niece. And as you can see, we have over the 100 people that I asked for. So
Thank you. Thank you. Y'all are doing God's work, okay? God will bless all 400 and something of y'all very well for helping me not have to listen to that song ever again.
Look,
I appreciate y'all.
He told me to sing out of tune, and I did it. And look at the subscribers, honey.
Thank y'all. God will bless y'all very well. Just wait on
it. So today we're going to be talking about dolls, fashion, and spiritual things. Hey, your pleasure.
Hey, what's up?
721. Thank you for being here once again.
Hi, your pleasure. How are you?
721. Your pleasure. 721. So, are you able to see her on the screen?
I am. I can see her. She said hello.
Okay. So, Daryl, please let's introduce. How you know me? You want to tell the people?
Okay. Well, my relationship with Aunt Mary's niece goes back, I believe, way over 20 years now, since college years, when she had came up to North Carolina A&T State University and moved into the Greensboro area. Aggie Pride.
Aggie Pride.
But we've been great friends for way over 20 plus years. Shared godchildren. Well, her children are my godchildren. So it's been a pleasure knowing her and being able to really gain from her knowledge and wisdom. I've told her just yesterday, I said, I believe that our friendship has been really mutually beneficial. It's like we both have been part of each other's lives and enlightening each other, went to same college, went to same churches. It's just been a lot. We've grown a lot, and it's been really great. And I look forward to our discussion on today.
And guess what, y'all? He's the person who helped me to get my nice little hair, my wig, y'all. This is my new hat. You know my new hat? I got long hair.
I love it.
Yes.
I love it.
Wait, Uncle Daryl, you made her get that?
Yeah, he told me where to go.
Oh.
Yes. And told me what to look for. So I thank you. I got some hair, y'all, so I no longer have to be cold. My shoulder's hot.
The change is good.
Yes, it is.
Change is good.
Mm-hmm. Change is good, but
what are you trying to say, Miss Zulu?
I'm just saying, change is good, but I'm here, and
But change has been very beneficial to me. You see, I'm so happy. I've been getting that new honey.
Yeah.
Yes, goodness. So, talk about your major at North Carolina A&T for us, please.
My major at North Carolina A&T State University was fashion merchandising and design. After I completed my 4 years at North Carolina A&T State University, I went to work for a major clothing manufacturer, Mac & Mac, downtown Greensboro. They were a manufacturer and retailer of women's upscale clothing. One outfit with just the jacket, the pants, and the camisole would cost you over $4,000 there.
Good God.
Yeah. And that place, it gave me a chance to really design a little bit, because sometimes they wanted me to do sketches to send off to different clients they were trying to contact. I met different celebrities there. I remember meeting Catherine Crosby, with the Crosby Golf Tournament. She came in one day. I didn't know who she was. I mean, she was in complete street clothes. You would have never known who that woman was. But then time she sit there and started trying on the clothes, and she had her makeup and stuff. I said, that's Catherine Crosby. But that was a unique experience. I also wrote for the News and Record. I had my own fashion column there. And basically, I interviewed different personalities throughout the Greensboro Triad area about what influences their fashion, their style. I really enjoyed doing that for over a year or so. Then as far as my career went, I worked as a visual merchandiser, did a little bit stints here and there as being a stylist for different people. And in fact, one celebrity I did a stylist incident for. It was funny. I worked at Four Seasons Mall at County Seat. At the time, it was Contempo Casual. And this young lady walks in, and my boss wanted to style her because she knew who she was. I didn't know who she was. If you look, some of the advertisements for her movies come up now on Amazon. Alizé Elise.
Oh,
I actually got a chance to interact with her. And actually, you know, she's a good friend. I like her a lot. She is, you know, she has a really inspirational story. Another woman who overcame a lot of odds to really build her career and be who she is today.
Oh, wonderful. But you know, one of the main reasons why I wanted you on the show was because we were talking about the kids. And I was talking about how I didn't really buy them a whole lot of dolls and different things of that nature because it also has spiritual implications that a lot of people don't talk about. But I also remember while I was teaching college, we had a conversation about the ball jointed dolls. And I thought that was fascinating and interesting. And even your background in fashion and how it kind of relates to spiritual things too, because people kind of assess you in terms of who you are and where you're going by the way that you're dressed and style. And that's a spiritual aspect too, because you represent the kingdom, whether or not you know it. Like, you know, one of the things that I would like to encourage, this hoodoo honcho right here, don't go outside the house with no bonnet on your head, because you have to who you belong to and who you are. And that's not a great thing to do, especially if you know how good God is. Why would you leave out your house unkept?
Having a bonnet on that's not unkept.
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
Life, yes, it is.
Yes, it is. You might as well say you're Ancient Mama, and you don't want to project that image. Exactly. We like Ancient Mama. We like that it represented a Black woman who was strong, but at the same time, now Ancient Mama can do better. And
she will be. She's going to have to. Just like I'm upgrading with the hair.
We all are.
And so, if you could you please share with the people your knowledge about dolls? Because I just love the way that you talk about them. And I think from that one event, you actually encouraged me to get a Spider-Man ball jointed doll for my son.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because I mean, I looked at the fact that we were talking about quality stuff.
I like ball jointed dolls.
Spirituality is quality. I think
it is.
I don't know. It might be.
Okay, I know Destiny would know.
Ball jointed dolls have like little springs inside of the joints. You can actually see like the little. It's very intricate because a lot of times they're made out of resin, and it's rare for you to see ball joint dolls in African American skin tones. But and if you do,
you know, resin, that's a tool that we actually use in the spiritual community to make stuff.
I had no idea, but resin, that's definitely what they use to make some of the ball joint dolls out of. Some are made out of plastic and vinyl as well. But what got me interested is when I was in college, I went to a place in Greensboro called the Doll Market. And the Doll Market...
You sent me there on High Point Road.
I love that place. That place was like walking through a museum, and it was like a wealth of not only information, but inspiration. Absolutely. It was almost like a trip around the world through dolls. And I mean, you got to see all different kinds of dolls. And when I first got interested, they had introduced a 16-inch doll called Jean. And Jean had a contest where you could design for the doll. I never did design for the doll. I don't believe I bought a Jean doll, I don't think. Oh my goodness. It's funny though, because that got my interest in dolls going. And then I started realizing a lot of people who worked in the doll world were credible fashion designers. And you know, that was another thing at one point I was looking at. I said, maybe I can start my own doll line for Black people. Absolutely. But then I started realizing that they had other doll lines for Black people, like Fashion Royalty, which started out being the Janae dolls that used to be in KB's toy stores that were maybe $5.99. Those dolls ballooned up to now at retail prices of over $145 a piece.
You know, I wish I would have got that when you was telling me about it, because of the value, the markup.
Yeah, and you still can. I mean, some of them on eBay, and a lot of people, like, that's another thing about the doll world. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry. And it's weird because a lot of Black people collect the dolls, but I was noticing when I talked to a lot of collectors, you're a Black person collecting white dolls.
I know, right?
And, you know, in a sense, it's like, is that self-hate? You know, you think to yourself, you know, what's the psychology behind it? And then, like, even when I collected, I like collecting Black figures. I like collecting Black figures that meant something to me, or either like somehow they represent something. Because I look at the doll world as not being too far off from the fashion world. Okay. Whenever you see a fashion designer and they have favorite models that they use on a runway, those models, if you're a man, those models are like saying, this is my projection of what I think a perfect woman would be.
So the eye candy.
Yeah, they are eye candy.
Okay.
And then even some female designers, they'll choose a model that looks similar to them. It's like a glamorized version of them walking down the runway. Like Donatella Versace, it's by no mistake she might choose a blonde-haired model that sort of resembles her to a certain degree in her mind. They might not look nothing alike, but you know, it's the psychology behind everything. And even with the doll world,
because it's hard to find.
You said it was hard to find what, Larissa?
Oh,
what were you saying?
No, I shouldn't have said that.
What were you saying?
No, I shouldn't have said it. I said that it's hard to find a doll or somebody that's going to ever look like Donatella Versace. That's what I said.
Yeah, that's true, because that's a face. That's a face.
That's a face you cannot replicate.
You know, I'm going to make y'all laugh now. I'll make y'all laugh. One time on Fashion Police, you know, when Joan Rivers was living, she said, flashed up a picture of Donatella Versace. She said, look at her. She said, that looked like the face of death. Look like it's coming. You said, it's time. I said, no. Joan Rivers had no sense, y'all. That woman was crazy. I miss her.
Yeah, me too.
I met her. Oh, that's another story, y'all. I met her one time in Greensboro when I worked at Dillard's department store. A guy who worked in the store, it was my last day there because I was going to start another job. And a guy that worked there, he said, Joan Rivers is here. We're like, man, you lying. And next thing you know, he said, he was like, no, her gray Maybach is out front. Went out to the front of Dillard's facing Corey Convention Center. What did I see? A silver Maybach with a female driver dressed up in a gray suit.
Wow.
I said, let me sit here and wait and see if she walks back through here. Lo and behold, it was Joan Rivers. And Joan Rivers was barely 5 feet tall in real life. And she was shuffling around. And she said, hi. She waved her hand up at me. I said, hi, how are you?
Wow.
And she went all the way up into the mall to get Starbucks coffee. Because I guess they didn't have it at Grandover. Because they said she was staying at Grandover at the time.
And Grandover is very nice, you all. That's a resort. As you're going to Greensboro. I went there for an event one time, a church event, matter of fact. And Stephen Grant he was next door in the next room. And I think I was pregnant with Daniel, 6 months. Had that purple gown that I bought. And
wow.
I wore with all the kids. So in each pregnancy, I had a ball gown. Gown.
Royalty in all of them.
Absolutely. And you see, that's why I was wearing the color purple.
Royalty.
But that's interesting.
It is.
But also, you want to talk about your events or your job at Ann Taylor and stuff of that nature?
Oh, yeah. I worked at Ann Taylor, and that was an interesting experience as well, though. I used to notice that a lot of times when I worked in that store, Ann Taylor was sort of like a high-end store to a great extent. But the real truth about the store was that they actually had clothing that everybody could afford. And the thing was, people that knew the store, they would just catch it on sale. And that store taught me many lessons. I remember when I first got on there to work, one of my friends actually got me on, and she told me at the time, she said, Daryl, you make sure you give your application to the manager. Do not give it to those women up front. And lo and behold, I did. And after I got into the door and worked there for a while, I was actually their clothing coordinator for the store, stock coordinator. So all the clothes that came in the store, I had to
Oh
steam
wow.
them. I had to get them prepared to put
Mhm.
on the floor, and I put them out on the floor. And sometimes I
Mhm.
worked sales as well. That was one of the best
Okay.
jobs I ever had. I enjoyed that job, and I made my own hours.
Mm.
And if my boss ever let me work late, if she asked me to work late, she said, Daryl, name any restaurant in town you want dinner from, I'll buy it. I wish Ruth
Mm.
Chris was here at that time.
Yeah, I know
I
that's
would have had
right.
that chicken dish. I would have had that chicken or either that
Mhm.
lobster mac and cheese, probably. I ain't never tried that yet, but I want to.
How about the
But
Village Tavern?
Village
When
Tavern was very
you,
nice too. I like that place.
I like how they
That
cut their cucumbers.
They also had a good what's called there. They had an apple pie dish where they put it was a baked apple pie in a little small ceramic bowl, and they
Mhm.
had caramel on top and a fresh scoop of ice cream. That was so good.
You know what my experience there was? I actually
What's
went
that?
to dinner with Dr. Miles Monroe, armor bearer, to his wife,
Hmm.
and that's where I actually learned that women were temperature gauges of their households. So that's an
Hmm.
experience that I would always take with me. And then I thought back on it, because they say if mama's happy, everybody's happy, but if mama
That's
mad,
true.
everybody. And but that's where she actually cultivated. She's no longer living now, Miss Alicia McCartney,
Uh
but
huh.
she came down because they had the full gospel convention in Greensboro at the Four Seasons Hotel. And so
Oh
when
yeah.
she came down and she imparted that wisdom into me, I thought a lot of that, even many years later after the fact. Because that was some wisdom. And even with that, she gave an example. I went to her home one Boxing Day and met a lot of different people in the area. I mean, a lot of people she knew. And there's some names I don't want to drop just because.
I
But
understand.
I learned about the magnitude of gratitude and the doll. And she told everybody, she said, I remember I grew up so poor and God has blessed me to be very wealthy at this point and to share my love because on Christmas Day, we could only play with our dolls for 2 to 3 hours and then we had to put them back up to next year. And it's funny now that was over 21, 22 years ago. And from my conversation now, I can remember her telling that story to everybody. It was like over 50 to 70 people that was at her home. And that's the first time I had like lobster salad. And she was
Mm.
such a gracious host and the way that she actually loved her children, her family, and the community. But the dolls, it was
Mhm.
a Raggedy Ann doll, and that she took out to show us from when she came. So I thank you for coming and letting us know about the dolls and the different things. I love when you talk about it.
Mhm.
Oh, I just anyone.
And I think the dolls are important too, though, because really dolls it's about representation as well. We want all of our children
Mhm,
to have action figures and dolls that reflect the Black community.
mhm,
We don't want them to just have like, a regular toy to play with. I'm not sure you're probably already aware of it. They did a study on these dolls where they told some little Black children about maybe 6, 7 years old to pick
mhm,
out the doll that they thought was best. They had a black doll and a white doll. And most of the Black kids back in the 50s or 60s, they chose the white doll. And when they asked them why,
mhm,
they said, "To the white doll is good." And they said, "What about the black doll? Black doll is ugly. Nobody wants it." And that was sad, but it was also showing that that was something that those Black children thought about themselves.
mhm.
I remember having
But you
conversations with my niece and nephew, my niece about her doll once I got her. It was
mhm,
a Barbie doll. I promised her a Barbie doll, and I got her a Barbie doll. And
mhm.
I'll never forget. She started telling me stories about things that was going on through the doll. I was like, "Oh gosh!" And she was like, "Yes," but and she was talking about her mom in a slick way, but it wasn't funny. She was like, "Yes, I work my job, and I come home and I get on my phone, and then I go to bed." I said, "No."
She's something.
Yes. That was too much for me though. But on the real though, I believe that honestly, dolls really do help cultivate Black culture. And even what I do now as the Chocolate Mirrors Project curator and director of that project, I have mannequins that I'm going to have for a major exhibit showing other Black designers as well as myself as being a designer in the exhibit to really showcase not only Black women, because all the mannequins are Black female mannequins, but to also show the artistry of the Black race as far as like how far we've come in fashion. And a lot of these designers are new and current designers. These aren't old designers. Now, we do love our older designers now. We love Miss Lowe for doing the dress for President Kennedy's wife. We love all of them. Willie Smith, all those older designers who paved the way. I still look at them as being a beacon of light. I look at Patrick Kelly as being a beacon of light. And I speak their names because it's important to speak the names of the ones who went on before you.
Absolutely. Gotta give homage.
Keep that legacy going.
Absolutely. But you know what? It's very interesting that you have brought up several times in your discussion is that dolls is a representation of a person. The same is true when you look at it in the spiritual things. You know, you can use a doll to invoke or have some type of implication of that person that you want to work on or work with. And a lot of people don't realize that.
We call them voodoo dolls, y'all. We call them voodoo dolls.
But not only the voodoo dolls, it could just be dolls. Like, for instance, my late grandmother, she used to have a lot of dolls in her living room. And she's like, don't you touch them dolls. And they were like porcelain dolls. They were so pretty. And I just remember growing up thinking, I can't wait until I get some dolls like this. But I didn't realize the spiritual aspect of it and how she would use different dolls to prey upon. And, you know, so that even with her children, so that they would be blessed, so that they would have protection, so that they would obtain favor. A lot of people don't realize that. They just think that use dolls to stick them or evil implication, which you could. You can give somebody a headache through a doll. But, you know, the main focus of my program is to actually build stronger families and uplift families, not to concentrate on the negativity that people might say, okay, with this voodoo doll. And even you can use a doll if somebody's sick to invoke peace, happiness, and good health. Did you know that?
Well, guess what, though? The latest episode that they had of American Gods, one of my favorite TV shows.
Yes, you know, I love that Mr. Nancy. They need to bring him back. Please, y'all.
They do need to bring him back because that show has fell off since he left. The beginning part, they showed a woman who had navigated to America as an immigrant. And it looked like she was trying to work the land with one of these little pullers. She was pulling it, but her daughter was behind, and her daughter fell out sick. And when her daughter fell, her daughter had a doll made out of like corn husk. And that woman made this circle with these little lighted candles out in the yard. And she took a pig, she took a reaper, and she cut the pig's throat, and then cut out all the insides of the pig and scattered it around the ground. Next thing you know, she had that doll out in the center of the circle. Tell me why that doll start coming to life. It slowly rose up in the air, and all of a sudden it started untwirling itself and getting bigger. And as it untwirled and got bigger, all of a sudden you saw this Caucasian woman in all this garment, and she touched the woman. And when she touched the woman, all that land that she was trying to till for harvest, all of it came up big old green crops, like big corn.
Wow. See that? But you know what? That's very interesting. There's this book that I read about 2 or 3 weeks ago. I bought it for one of my daughters so that we can read it during homeschool. But I actually found more fascination in it because it reminded me of my upbringing. And that was called Blue Roots. Can you go get that book for me so I can actually show you? That was a very interesting book. It gave you the Hoodoo language, like churn and different things of that nature. But it was kind of funny because in several of those chapters, they talked about the grandmother and how she put her essence inside of a doll that she made. And when she put her essence, when it was time for protection or to fight or what have you, that doll became alive and started showing her which way to go. Now, for some of you all who are still kind of skeptical about what we're talking about, if you like the movie Harriet, you saw it in the movie Harriet, where the father, he put his essence inside of a doll or a statue or a figurine that he created. It's the same concept, so that she would be protected, and wherever she went, she held on to it. And notice when she got into the water, she held it up because she knew that her father was protecting her. We're talking about the same thing. Same thing. But hopefully she'll get the book so I can show it to you. But this is a must read. And I mean, and it's an easy read. And I can validate that a lot of the stuff that's in there is true. But I won't validate which parts of it. But a lot of that.
And I guess when I collect this, not from a spiritual standpoint, it's more or less a representation. I love to see images of, Black people shown in a good way. And the more I talk to people who are in the collecting world, all of us come at it from a different angle. Some people, they come at it, all their dolls or mannequins represent celebrity figures. Some of them represent people they knew. And here's a weird thing, Quanique, that's going to be interesting to you.
Okay.
Now, in the mannequin world, a lot of people don't know it, but when you see when you used to see realistic store mannequins in department stores, some of those mannequins were actually sculpted off of real people. And there's some famous celebrities right now who have mannequins that were sculpted after them that people don't even realize exist. Tyra Banks had a mannequin sculpted after her. Pat Cleveland, the runway model, had one sculpted after her. And I mean, and they got exacting features, even down to the fingers, the way their fingernails and stuff looked. Rootsing was good. They used to get all the exacting features of the person. But here's what got me. There was a company called Greniker. They had this sculptor, Peloso, who did sculpting for them back in the 80s. He sculpted mannequins, but they said most of the people he sculpted were people he knew. They said he rarely did not just sculpt a regular person, just anybody. It would have to be like his mom, his aunt, and a lot of the women that worked around him in his business. He sculpted them. And one lady who was in our mannequin group, she let us know about a year ago, her mother passed away, and her mother was sculpted into one of the mannequins. And for one day, at the anniversary of her mother's death, she says, I would love it if anybody could post pictures you have of my mother's mannequin, Annette, because her mother's name was Annette.
Okay.
And they even showed pictures of her mom compared.
They named the mannequin after the person as well?
Yeah, they did. They sure did.
Oh, that's awesome.
Some companies did that. They actually sculpted them after the people and named them after them.
Oh, wonderful.
But Tyra Banks has a mannequin after her. Beverly Peel has a mannequin after her. What shocked me was they said a story behind Naomi Campbell and Linda Evangelista. They were the biggest supermodels there was.
Okay.
But at the same time, their mannequins never did get approved by them.
Figurines. I want to bring all of those figurines because it was something that you said that I want to kind of bring knowledge of as well. This brings me because a lot of times people think that what we're talking about is evil concepts, but really we're not concentrating on that. And everything, they're good and bad. So we're going to focus on a good one. So this is one of my little dolls. I actually got these from the Roses. Anybody who know me, they know I love some roses. Roses in I think Lake City. So this one says, I'm wondering if you can see it. Maybe. Do you see this one?
Yes.
This says, when life gets hard, to stand, kneel. And it has a lady, look like a church lady with a blue hat. I just got to remember. Hopefully you all can see it. And it has a mirror right behind it. And then I have another one here. Let's see. Are you able to see this one? This one is a lady with the red church hat with the bows and flowers. And it says, faith does not make things easy, but it makes it possible. And here go another one. And this is another lady that's in a blue hat. This one actually came out real nice. It says, delight yourself in the Lord, and he will give you the desires of your heart. Psalm 37:4. And then I'll bring out the rest of them a little bit later as we continue to talk, and she bring them over here. But see, that's the good impact about being a spiritual person. You don't necessarily have to follow what everybody else do.
No, you don't.
Know what everybody else do. You just have to do you. And so I think from the experience of talking to you, bring the other ones that you haven't bought. The experience that that talked to you gave me more validation with the ones I actually have on my table.
Oh yes.
Orange one. I love that orange one. Bring that one too. And the orange one I think is cracked. Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna make you laugh now.
Okay.
I look back at it, my grandmother that's still, my one grandparent that's still living, my mom's mom.
Mm-hmm.
She has figurines in her house. And somebody from our church gave her a figurine of a woman, of these people in the church pews. And guess what happened? Somehow my grandma ended up with 2 sets of them. And my grandma, she's a minister. Guess what she said? She said, "Look, Daryl, I got 2 churches now."
Manifesting, honey. And you know what? This is the next one I'm going to bring. This is my favorite. This is the lady with the I love the color orange, and unfortunately, but it says, "When the time is right, I, the Lord, will make it happen," and that's Isaiah 60:22. So that right there came in good for this right here. But I just love this because it's just like, okay, when I got this stand, I can do all things, and this is like one of my favorites.
Yes.
But I have some more I want to share. Let me see. This one, can you see this one?
Let's see.
This one.
Yes, I can.
Okay.
Yes.
This one says, "God will not give me anything I cannot handle." So sometimes when I'm in my prayer mode and I have to concentrate and manifest, I'll look at these, and these are my little figurines. And then this one, oh yeah, I like this one. You see that with the orange and the green? This lady right here don't play. It says, "Be still and know that I am God." Psalm 46:10. And those who are spiritual practitioners, they definitely know their Psalms. So, and this one right here is when you want to have the boss mode and you got that hat, like you ain't even ready to take no shit. It says, "The Lord is my shepherd and I lack nothing." So anytime that there might be a lack, so I think I look at this little church hat and say, "I lack nothing." And you all know that comes from Psalm 23, verse 1. So thank you for allowing me to share it. But I want us to concentrate. But I like what your grandma did, because that right there, that's the art of manifesting. You know, she looked at something practical that she had, and then she turned it into something else.
Well, it's funny, but it was so funny the way she said it. It had us laughing so hard. She said, "Look, I got 2 churches."
Wow.
She was being funny. But my grandma was very comical. Both my grandmas were very well. My grandmother's still living. She's still funny as I don't know what. And the one that's gone on, Grandma O'Reen, she was something else. Hilarious.
But I like that. That right there was ministry to me. Wow. So you want to continue to tell us about her 2 churches? Now that's something.
I guess I have to do that with my mannequins, though. Oh, I have done that with my mannequins. I'm gonna tell you why.
Okay.
I have a friend of mine I look at as a mentor. He's in the gay ballroom scene, and he actually is a father of a house.
Oh, wow.
And I one time messaged him on Facebook, and I told her, I said, "It's hard being a father." I said, "I have to make sure all these girls are together, I have to make sure their hair and stuff is together and that they ready." I said, "It's hard." He fell out laughing. But I was talking about my mannequins. I was like, this is the house of Azor. Because, on Facebook and Instagram, my name is Antonius Azor. So, yes, the house of Azor.
All right now.
Oh, yes.
But you know what? That's another spiritual thing that you have. Because most practitioners come out of a house, or they have their own houses. And those who kind of understand, it's almost like the churches or what have you, or people that you have within your community that you cultivate, and you all work together to do great things and make sure that all is well. This is like an extended family, Yeah. And I was thinking about what I named my house, I was thinking about that this morning, what I'm going to name my house, because I know the house that I belong to, it has a great name, it's almost academic.
Maybe it has something to do with the Phoenix.
I love the Phoenix. But you know what? I think you gave me that when I wanted to have the mascot like a butterfly and a caterpillar. You remember, probably about 15 years ago or so. But I was like, they kind of weak. You need something kind of strong, something that can stand through the forces or what have you. And even like last year, before we went through all of this situation with, I don't really want to call the name because I want to get monetized, but you know that the pandemic that we're going through, before it actually happened, God told me to have the Phoenix on my page because it's just going to be just like a bird that has died and has lived through its ashes. And when I put that up and then I start seeing different things, I look at God, look at him. And
you know what else I like about the Phoenix? Remember that movie Maleficent?
I haven't seen that yet. I've been meaning to.
Okay, have you seen the second one, Larissa?
With Angelina Jolie?
Yes, it was a Maleficent 1, then Maleficent 2.
Oh, I don't saw the first one.
Both of them are awesome, but Maleficent 2 is more detailed because it lets you know that it goes more into her background and who she really is.
Okay.
And she found out who she was, and that was the thing. And what, Quanique, I'm not going to give it away.
You don't call me by my name.
Forgive me.
It's okay.
Forgive me, Aunt Mary. Okay.
It's okay. That's why
I'm not going to give it away. I'm not going to give it away. But it has to do with the Phoenix, though.
Okay.
The second Maleficent has to do. You're going to love it if you see it.
Well, you know what? We're going to have a family time, so we'll be able to see 1 and 2. You know, she's stuck in her seat because she don't want to do it. But that's something that you're going to do. That way we can learn something as a family.
It's always good to watch movies as a family. I used to do that a lot with my family. I still do. And our parents used to love to discuss what was going on in the movie with us.
Absolutely. But you know, like one of the things that I like to show the kids, especially when I'm instilling discipline, we watch an Aesop fable, and they can tell you the one that they hate for me to look at, the little red hen. That's my thing right there. I'm trying to teach you got to do your own work. Don't come when everything is done. You got to get in it too, you know. And a lot of times, no one wants to do the work, but you got to do your own work.
We all do.
You got to do your own work. So we might even look at that now since her head is down. And so,
as Alanya says, I did my work.
I know that. And I didn't want to.
I still got work.
None of us like to do the work, y'all.
Because it's hard, especially when you have to see
hard.
The part that you don't want nobody else to see and discover.
Larissa, you said you still doing your work, didn't you?
Yeah, I got college work. I mean,
we're talking about spiritual work and making a discovery of yourself, almost like the Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde ordeal. You know, knowing
that's a big development. But her college work, that's still a good thing, though, for her to be doing that at such a young age. That's an awesome compliment to you as well, Aunt Mary.
Thank you. Thank you. But she didn't do it. It's look, I'm who I am. I make no apologies for who I am, what I represent, and who I and because this has been a blessing to a lot of people, and I want to continue to be a blessing to a lot of people, places, and things. So
I got a story for you, though. You know what you said about the dolls? It was a woman I knew I met one time when I worked at NC Works a long time ago. And she worked in Broadway, had met Eartha Kitt, all these people. She used to be like background wardrobe.
No, that's a South Carolina person.
Huh?
Eartha Kitt, South Carolina person. Matter of fact, one of her cousins was my roommate at Benedict College.
Oh, wow.
And, she can sing.
Oh, wow. But I'm telling you, and guess what else? Now we on the topic of that. That might be that might be an Uncle Daryl video too. You know they got that new movie coming out about Billie Holiday, about federal government versus Billie Holiday.
I didn't know.
They got Andra Day, the singer, playing Eartha Kitt. Andra Day should be playing. Not Eartha Kitt, but playing Billie Holiday.
Right, because she looks more like Billie Holiday, and she don't really look like Eartha Kitt like that.
See, I don't know who it is.
I think Andra Day looks like I think she looks like Eartha Kitt. So if you look at pictures of Billie Holiday, nobody who has ever played Billie Holiday really looked like her, being Diana Ross or being Andra Day. Andra Day has a voice like her, though, I believe. The way she talks and stuff and the way her mannerisms are, I think she's going to do an awesome job in that movie from the preview I saw. But honestly, Andra Day, I've said it from day one time I saw that girl. I said she should play Eartha Kitt in a movie. just like Lena Horne needs to be played by Alicia Keys.
I agree with that.
Yeah,
because Alicia Keys look just like her.
And the sad part is the estate of Lena Horne, when Lena Horne was living, she did not want Alicia Keys to play her because of her life and what she went through with her marriage, considering, well, that's a whole nother story.
Yeah,
And to me, it sounded judgy the way they did it. I didn't like it. Because people are gonna live the way they live.
Yes, people are.
And I feel like this about love, y'all. Love happens a lot of different ways sometimes. And as my barber said it, and I repeat that phrase, the heart wants what the heart wants.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
Sometimes that's irregardless of what people may tell you, what they may say, but you feel what you feel.
You feel what you feel. I love to feel that I feel it.
You feel what you feel.
Feel what I feel.
As the Pointer Sisters would say, all I know is the way I feel.
Yes.
Wait, back to this story that this woman told me, though, the woman who was a wardrobe person in Broadway and stuff. She said, Daryl, because we got on the topic of dolls. She said, I'm gonna tell you something. Years ago, she said, I used to work for these people and they were Caucasians. She brought that up. And she said they were somewhere down in the deep South. And she said the people, they had a marriage in the family. And when they had the marriage in the family, she said it was a beautiful wedding near the beach, near the coast. And I think that I'm trying to think, I think it was near New Orleans, the way she talked. It had to be somewhere like New Orleans, either Charleston. It was one of the coastal cities down the South.
Okay.
But she said they had the beautiful wedding. But at the same time, everybody could not wait to the reception to get over with because they had brought a woman there who was like a shaman. And they said that line for people to go talk to that woman was so long. And they were paying in the thousands of dollars to actually talk to this woman. And she says, and Daryl, honestly, the things that they wanted to know about was either money, to either finding love or getting rid of a love that they didn't want. It was one of the three. And they said that they were paying her thousands, but guess what ended up happening during this weekend? How about somebody turned up murdered? And then come to find out the voodoo shop that was near the area, they had to do a search of that shop to find out who they sold them dolls to. Because when the person was found dead, the doll was near them.
Well,
and I said, interesting. And the people that sold the doll, they says, no, we don't have any intent. We don't know what the people do when they buy the dolls. They said, we're not asking them that. You know, are you buying this for good luck? Are you buying this to help somebody? We don't ask them that. We just sell the merchandise. And I think they finally did track down who they sold the doll to, but still, it was a mess.
And it was this weekend?
Huh?
It was just this weekend?
Oh, no, this happened years ago.
Okay.
This woman, I met her a long time ago. When I worked at NC Works, that's been like 2007.
No, I mean the event with the dog.
Yeah, that happened some time ago too, though, because the way she talked, that happened before she had came back into this area in North Carolina. Because she moved here.
But it is true, you know, the intent as practitioners. We're not responsible for what people do. People can do whatever they want to do. And when you talked about the corn huskers, that's actually true because I actually make dolls such as that. And so, but usually it's never for that intent at all. And those
but somehow that doll represented her daughter because her daughter was holding on to it. That was so weird.
But again, you remember I stated to you that you can invoke and I gave different examples of it. When you look at you didn't find that book. I want to say it's called Blue Magic. It's a very fascinating book. You can get it from Amazon. I pre-ordered it this year, and I'm so grateful that I actually did because it brought back a whole lot of memories. But nevertheless, with dolls, you can actually get people healed and to send them protection and encouragements, you know. But sometimes people don't want to talk about that. I love to talk about it though.
There used to be a woman at my old church. She was a mother of our church, and she was known for God using her with healing. And I think my grandmother told me about her. She said, Daryl, she used to even just write healing letters to people.
Yep.
She would literally write these letters and send them off to people, and they'd be healed once they read them.
Mm-hmm.
I said, interesting.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's interesting too, because you can use a lot of different modalities depending upon who the person is, what you're trying to do, in order to get a result that you need.
And really, the person at the doll shop, I get what they mean though, because it's a lot of different things in this world that are very subjective.
Mm-hmm.
A house can be very subjective.
Exactly.
Me or you could buy a house and we're trying to make it into a home for family or for kids. Someone else may buy that same house. They may use it as a trap house for drugs.
Yep.
Money in itself is very subjective. Some people tell the lie that the root of all evil is money, but it's not. It depends on whose hands it's in and how they're using it and what they feel about money.
The root of money is the root of all evil, but the path to all people.
Mm-hmm. And guess what? And the Bible says in Proverbs that money solves all things.
All things. Not some things, but all things.
I hate when people tell me that money can't buy happiness. It can buy mine. I know that.
Mine too. I agreed. Amen.
Yeah, we had a lot of happy times because of money. Mm-hmm.
Yes. Having money is not a bad thing.
That's kind of funny.
It's not.
Because I was interviewed for a radio show earlier this morning, and we talked about the fact that I actually bought what they said was a drug house. And I said, well, when I bought that, and it was a trailer, I said, when I bought that, I want to turn that into God's house. And I want to make sure it has a lot of peace and blessings and around the land on the inside. And I was describing it in terms of having rust on the roof and how blessed it was and how many miracles I've seen in that house. And things of that nature. So never discount small beginnings, never discount the thing that you have to represent. Even with the corn huskers, if you go into the supermarket, you'll actually see what we're talking about in the Hispanic section of the restaurant. And it's what you do with it, how you use it. And a lot of times people make like tamales and different things with that. But you can use it as dolls. You can use a tree limbs to make dolls. I've done that too.
Let's be real for a second. I mean, really, your life, it all depends on what your mind can conceive. Exactly. Because a lot of times a person, me, you, anybody, I've known a lot of celebrities, they have actually looked at a person on television and said, that person's going to be my husband or wife. Nick Cannon did that with Mariah Carey. He said he saw her and he said, that's going to be my wife one day. Everybody thought it was a joke. It ain't funny now.
I know that's right.
Kanye said the same thing.
And
and we all have to be careful what we say, because sometimes God and angels and universe is listening, and He might be making it happen quicker than you think. Because sometimes, like I think Kirstie Alley was an actress. She said they asked her how she met her husband, Parker Stevenson, who was an actor way before she was. She said I was a little farm girl sitting on near my grandma's lap. And we were up there watching TV. And all of a sudden I said, Grandma, one day that man gonna be my husband. And then she said, well, baby, if that's what you want, it will be. And she says later on in life, I moved to Los Angeles, got into Hollywood. I met Parker Stevenson with no intention on marrying him. I mean, you meet a lot of people. But she says, ironically, he did end up being my husband. No, wasn't that funny? She said, I didn't try to make it happen, but I think back on what I said. And I remember the movie, Quanique, that goes to show about that too, though. The movie that Judy Garland has been remade about 4 times now. What is that movie? I love it. I got it on my shelf. A Star is Born. I had to look at it. A Star is Born.
Okay.
The original version was amazing. I love the Judy Garland version because to me that made a lot of sense. But the original was awesome because they showed the girl, she lived in a little farming town, and they picked her because she used to like to look at magazines and dream of being in entertainment. And they said, oh, you crazy because we live on a little farm. Her grandmother heard all that but didn't say anything. And when the little girl was up there crying, getting ready to go to her room, really, she wasn't a little girl. She was almost like grown. She was about 17, 18. Her grandma said, come here for a second. And she went in her grandma's room. She says, is this dream that you have of being in entertainment, is that something that you really want? She said, yes. She said, you want this more than anything. She said, yes, I do. She says, even if it costs you the one you love, would you want to still pursue it? She said, yeah. She said, you have to be careful what you ask for. And her grandmother was an immigrant. She told her to this country, to America. She says, when I immigrated here with your father, she says, we had nothing. And we built up this farm and we had all this money. You know, we have all that you see now. She said, but one day we were working out in the field, your grandfather dropped dead. And she said, that's why I asked you. She said, you want this dream, but you want it, even if it costs you the one you love. She told her, yeah. Lo and behold, the little girl the grandmother gave her the money to go to Hollywood. The girl became a star. She met another famous movie star who became her husband. And he ended up dead later. And when he died, and she was feeling the lowest of her life, Aunt Mary's niece, guess what happened? Guess what happened? Her grandma came to the doorstep. Her grandma was all dressed up. She said, how are you doing, granddaughter? She said, I'm not so good. She said, oh, but remember what I told you? You know, did you want it? Whether it would cost you everything. She said, yeah, I did. She said,
you know what? You bringing up a very important spiritual point.
What's that?
In order to get something, you have to give something. There's no such thing as not a sacrifice. You know, it can be time and energy. I've heard people tell me, like this one person about a month ago, told me she wanted me to do some spiritual work for her, but she didn't want to pay me because she'd been to other people who said that they did work for her. I said, well, why are you calling me?
Exactly.
Why didn't you go back there? And what I try to tell people, even on my website at www.auntmarysniece.com, and make sure you put I'm married, you have to give up something. Nothing for nothing leaves nothing. And a lot of people getting sick and getting into situations because they're asking for prayer and they're not giving up nothing. They think that prayer is free. Prayer is not free. It's going to cost you something. I would rather pay something on the front end of things than on the back end. Because at least if I paid it up front, I already know how much it's going to cost me, what it's going to cost me. But if I pay it on the back end of things, I don't know what it's going to cost me. And some things cost too much.
Yes.
Some things cost too much. So that's why I encourage people to send an offering, even if you want me to do prayer, because of the fact that you have to give up something as well as I got to give up something. It don't make sense for me to give up my time, effort, and sometimes if I have certain things I might use for me to pray for your situation, and I got a family at home, I can't tell Duke Power that I've been praying for you and I'll send a prayer in the mail.
Exactly.
I can't tell my internet company by which we are broadcasting that, you know what, I've been praying for so-and-so, and I just believe I'm going to get blessed and I won't bless you enough where you just go ahead and give me my services for free. It don't work like that. It has to be exchange. You know,
or like my pastor says, look, go to Duke Power and say Jesus paid it all.
And you know, you know, and he was my pastor. And so, and one of the things I respect about him, I love when he say beloved. Lord have mercy. I just love that because of the fact it sounds so sincere. You know, there's a lot of people who say beloved, but the way that he actually says beloved is just a blessing.
He means it, yeah.
Exactly. And one of the things I can say, even by his leadership, I like how he do his offerings. Because I cannot stand to go into a church. Matter of fact, I won't even go into your church if I find that I have to walk all the way up to your altar and all the way back, because I feel like you're not utilizing your ushers effectively. You know why? Because the usher is there to get the money and to usher people. But if I want to do exercises, I would carry my black ass to a gym. That's the way I feel about it. Or I would just shout.
And all this getting up and down, and
I don't want to do none of that. Let me sit down, let me learn, let me be able to apply it to my life, and I'm perfectly happy. And one of the things I loved about that church, now there's a church here in Sumter that does the same thing. They wait to the end, and if you feel like you want to, you can go ahead and put the offering in there. But also, there's another church that utilize their ushers effectively. Pass the bucket or what have you. But I ain't get ready to go up there and do your exercise so you can see what I'm wearing and everything else. Because I like to take my shoes off if I'm comfortable. And if I'm not comfortable, there might be a problem, especially a spiritual problem in that area. So
that's true.
That's one of the things about me. But I'm kind of grateful that now, you know, we can go online because I've been doing that for 3 years anyway. You know, I can
And
go when I
got me laughing.
What?
You said comfortable. It made me think about some things.
What?
I remember some relatives of mine, y'all. Okay, Larissa and Aunt Mary's niece. Y'all got to bear with me for a second.
Go ahead.
They told me this. They went to a church to support one of my uncles or whatever because he had to go play at this church. And he plays instruments or whatever, like piano and guitar and stuff like that. And they went because they knew who the pastor was. They knew the lady from years ago who was sponsoring the event, but then they also knew my uncle. You know, that's my mom's brother. So they went. My mom and aunts and them, they told me what happened. And my cousin, they said, Daryl, you missed it. They said, we glad you weren't there because you would have cried laughing.
Oh, wow.
They said that all of a sudden, you know, the church service was so going long anyway. And then when this woman got up there to speak, she started saying, there's something in the atmosphere. It's rain falling. Purple rain. Purple rain. I'm so glad I wasn't there. If I would have seen that, the last time a rain song came out when I was in church, we went to a church in High Point with my hometown church when I was a teenager. And this man, oh my Lord, he got there, he was a deacon or somebody, got there singing. When I promise you, he started singing this song. He was like, rain, drop, drip, drop. Let it rain. Let it rain. Down on me. Rain, drop, drip, drop, drip, drop. I said, oh Lord, where you come from with this?
Lord have mercy.
Yeah.
I have always had to deal with these dramatics in church, and when I have to see stuff like that, I can't hold it. And one time at Love and Faith, they got me. Who gets me worse is the seasoned saints choir, the older people.
Oh wow.
Okay, number one, here's the thing y'all gonna laugh about. They be confident, y'all.
Yeah, they do.
I hope I be that confident when I'm older. Because they look, whenever they get ready to sing, they be having these smiles on their faces like we getting ready to blow it out.
Say that.
And they know they can't sing either.
Say that.
Ooh, they can't sing. Lord knows them singing choirs. They need to sing.
Yes, and Larissa, and it gets worse. Because guess what they did one Wednesday night? And Pastor Thomas himself, he started laughing. Because guess what happened? This woman got to singing. They were saying, praise him. Praise him. Praise him. Precious Savior. And that's all she doing. And then when she gets to the end of the song, guess what she says? Sometimes you gotta moan. And we were like, oh no, where'd she go from?
Because you know they used to moan and Terry. So that took me back to my old Baptist days growing up. When they used to moan and Terry, and it used to be the deacons that did it at that point. But yeah, I miss that, you know. I miss that wholeheartedly. But you know, I witnessed that choir. There's a whole lot of stuff I don't want to say because you know I sing out of tune, so I can't really talk.
But I can. So let me tell you about the time this dude started singing at. Okay, this was okay. I have plenty of experiences of bad things, but this one stuck with me and my brother the most. So we was at this church, and it was in the outskirts of something, right? So we was in this church, and you know we were driving in. The people, the pastor, I'm not sure what went down that day, but for some reason this dude, I'm not gonna say his name, so I'm just gonna put like a thing, Mr. Cookies.
Don't say the church. Okay.
I'm not gonna say the Cookies. Mr. Cookie. Y'all almost choked. Okay, so Mr. Cookie, I'm not sure why, but for some reason they assigned Mr. Cookie to sing it. Now, Mr. Cookie, he
was the best dresser in the church as a minister.
He is best dressed. His daughter's real.
Because he's also a part of my Facebook.
I know. Can I finish? Okay, so Mr. Cookie, his daughter's really nice. Hey, girl, but yeah. So
don't mention her name. Please don't mention her name.
Mr. Cookie decided he was gonna get up there.
I don't know what happened.
But me and my brother bust out laughing, and we almost got kicked out the.
It was horrible.
It was so horrid.
It was.
You remember we went to that white church and.
Must be really bad.
Oh yeah, it was bad.
I don't remember. I don't know what it is, but
okay, it was. You remember the church that replaced that office thing that you was at? That church, I think it's called like.
No. Okay, I know.
Okay, so I like this church simply because they serve donuts and orange juice after service.
That's the thing. She think that when she go to church, she's supposed to eat.
How are you gonna not?
I don't know why she feel like she had to have donuts, coffee, and juice.
I am your guest.
Church.
I am your guest. You should treat me as such.
Now I like how your church do things because you're a member too, and I like the fact that the whole community come in and it's not cheap or cheesy. You know, because a lot of times they would say like black churches only give you like the crumbs or what have you.
It's a real meal.
It's an awesome meal, and not only that, you have an opportunity to go and eat, or you can sit in the sanctuary if you so choose. So I like the fact that they give choices there instead of saying, well, we can do it this way and what have you. But I also like the fact that they're very structured, and I like the fact that the inside is green because green is a symbol of wealth as well as healing. And at that time when I went there because of the healing that I needed. But the choir couldn't sing. Everything else was good, but the choir, and they sung when I do in the morning. And see, that's the part I was trying not to say. But everything else, I mean, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. If there had to be a conference that was given to churches about hospitality, about following what God has to say, making sure that it comes from the heart, that would be the church that could actually lead that conference.
Oh, I'm gonna make you laugh though. I'm gonna make you laugh real good.
That's quiet.
Guess what, Aunt Mary's niece?
What?
We've been getting ready to celebrate anniversary coming up soon, and we had actually a co-pastor of our church that pastors the Kernsville Church. His wife, they were both telling about what happened when they first joined our church, right? Mm-hmm. His wife, she said it, and I about fell over laughing and thought about you when she said it. She said, when I visited Love and Faith, I wasn't all that into it because that music ministry wasn't all there. I said, Lord help. And she said it. She said, I didn't care for the music ministry. She said, but I stayed because of teaching, and then I got involved in the music ministry. She said she got involved in the music ministry. Because here's the thing, that co-pastor's wife, she can sing her tail off. She came to my old hometown church years ago, and she was singing something way back then. She could sing.
Oh, wow.
So with her saying that, I know what she mean, though. She was like, she said they couldn't sing.
But you know what? Now it brought me back a memory that I had. I remember when, because I would usually go to the church first to kind of scope it out. And then at the time, because I was married at the time, I was a member. I brought my then husband there, and I'll never forget what Bishop said to me. It wasn't what he said, but it was how he said it that made me really think and evaluate things. And even as I've gone on to experience other relationships, and you want to hear what the question was that he asked me in the presence of that thing that I had once married?
Yes.
He said, and how did y'all get together? But it was how he said it. The expression was like, y'all know y'all ain't got no business being together.
But you know what, though? I think that's the thing about our pastor, though. He has a way of being, he's very spiritually astute, and he sees things. I don't think his face can hide it. And my face is like that sometimes, and yours too. But no, sometimes we can't hide it.
You talking about mine?
Yeah, because everybody knows once my mama hears something, her face will not hide it. Her face will tell you something before she will.
Mine, I know mine will. Because people be looking, I just look at them. They be like, okay.
I mean, when I was a manager at Bojangles, these twins worked for me. And somebody else asked me, tell me, why you don't like them twins? And I was like, I never said I didn't like them twins. But what it was is that those twins and their mother would try to take advantage and manipulate people. That's the part I didn't like. But you know, them themselves, because they was in high school, they were just something. But I just really like the fact that he was kind and pleasant, and it almost sounded like he was giving us a compliment. But you had to kind of sit back and think about how he asked the question. And so,
see, he's better than me because I would have straight up just told you. And
you know that was your daddy he was talking about, right?
Yeah.
It sure wasn't her daddy, but Lord have mercy. And look, I'm trying to be good because these people don't know we cut up like this all the time. Oh my goodness! But I just appreciate him asking the question.
You could tell it was my dad too, because honestly, just think about it. They just don't pair well, and you can tell they don't pair well either.
Well, it's not that, Larissa. You know, we're still praying yet for your father's salvation.
I'm not sure why you praying for something that
Look, y'all. We ain't trying to put that on first. Let him do what he do and let him be great in his own little area.
Right.
You know.
But don't pray for something that ain't gonna happen. That's a waste of prayers. You wasted God's time.
That is a waste of God's time.
Don't waste God's time praying for something that even he know. I mean, God knew don't God know when he make the people how they gonna be? So what y'all praying for?
Yeah, but that's still your daddy. What I say? What's the scripture I normally tell you? Love those who despitefully use you.
Oh.
What I say?
I ain't gotta love him.
Yes, you do. That's your daddy. So your days will be long. So, and that's in the Bible too. You gotta do it.
Let me tell you something from experience. Honestly, I had a situation where I had a dad that I didn't get along with the best. And there was a lot of issues behind that, honestly, Larissa. Mm-hmm. It was a lot of issues because looking back on it, we just did not see eye to eye on a lot of things. I guess I was also closer to my mom. I remember my parents' divorce. I told Rita was like, we get double gifts now. I said, yeah, you can go live with your daddy. I can go live with my mama. And we both got the same daddy and same mama. So that goes to show how that mindset was already going. So that wasn't necessarily good. But also, some of that was stuff that I hadn't established. That was stuff that he wouldn't establish. You know what I'm saying? He picks in the family. He picks, I guess, the Rita, whatever. But anyway, when I got older, I did not really talk a lot about my dad to the point that maybe 5 years ago when he was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer and it was in his back and they thought it was spreading other places, I was in probably a terrible in-between spot. I was at a job I didn't like. I was dealing with him. And now my mom, she stepped in and was like, you are going to have to go to the hospital and go see about your dad. And I was like, I don't want to. Because my thing was right before that, me and my dad wasn't even talking. He wasn't even talking to my sister, and she was the favorite. He wasn't talking to her, wasn't having nothing to do with her children. And so I had a problem with that. I had a big problem with that because my thing is, them your grandkids. You know, even if you don't agree with something that Sarita did or I did or whatever it was, them your grandkids. But in case, though, he did not. And, you know, someone said recently, before you get in a relationship with anyone, you need to see two things about that person. You need to see how they are when they're angry, and you also need to see how they are when they don't have money. I knew for a fact, growing up in the household, my dad was not a pleasant person to be around when he didn't have money. He had money, everything was fine. He'd take you anywhere, take you to the best of everything. Now, my dad was good in a lot of ways, but in a lot of ways, he just was not there as a father because, you know, he had a lot of things going on. And when he got sick,
I think that's where our stories kind of, like, I understand up until that point. I think that's where our stories kind of, you know, part ways.
How so?
Because he's just not here at all. There's a difference, like, you know.
Well, honey, when I grew up, when my parents divorced, to me, it wasn't like anything had changed. Our dad was there in the household, but he wasn't there, if that makes any sense.
Hold on.
Like if there was anything that had to be done, my mom did it all the time. She was always there doing everything. And at the time when they divorced, it was the worst possible time for her. There she was having to deal with 2 children, trying to make them go to school, make sure everything is going right with them. At the same time, dealing with ridicule and gossip at work. But my parents worked at the same workplace and people knew he was cheating on her. Then on top of that, her dad was dying.
That's a lot.
All that at one time.
That is a lot.
And so every day her life was going to work, working 3rd shift, going to pick up me and Sarita from school, going to the nursing home to go see my granddad before he passed. And this was her life. So that was a whole lot. And we watched our mom go through that. And then plus, it wasn't even just that, y'all. It was, with my dad being a philanderer that he was, some stuff me and Sarita witnessed, we saw. It was some things that we put the puzzle pieces together about what was going on later after the fact. When we asked our mom about it, she said, yeah, that's what was happening. But even, let's go into this, Quanique. Even down to people who deal with root work. It was a woman that went to my dad's old church. My dad's mom, my mom said, told him not to eat nothing out that woman's house because she knows stuff. What it was, that woman wanted my dad for her daughter, even though my dad was married. And even though her daughter, I think, was married at the time. So my dad would eat food at her house every Sunday. And he'd be there just laughing. But anyway, that's a whole nother story, though. But that's still. And then the sad part was, guess what else happened?
What happened?
One of the women's relatives came up to one of my family members. They says, I heard about your niece and her breakup with her husband. They said, I didn't want to say nothing, but I know he was eating at my aunt's house a lot, but he shouldn't have been eating at her house.
Oh, wow.
You know that's bad, ain't it?
It is. But one thing I will say, there are certain people that you should not eat from. However, there are certain, I will say, there are definitely certain people you should eat from. I'm very, very, very particular about who I eat from, and if I'm going to eat with you at all.
That's also
Thank you. I will not eat around you if I don't like you.
If I don't like you,
I'm not going to
eat with you.
Around you. If I kind of way, I will swallow my spit. Because one of the things I remember in the book of Proverbs, it says never to eat at the table of the scornful. And especially if I feel like you're going to monitor anything that I eat and talk about it, and I won't have to live that down. You will never, ever say that I grace your table. I might have sit there, but that don't mean I'm
That's also very true. I'm very, I've learned to be very particular about where I eat from too. If you have cats, won't eat.
I won't.
Nope.
I will not. But I will tell you this, because I have taken my children to a witch's house, and a lot of times they have the best meals. And I will also say this too: if you know that person do what they do, and you're okay with it, and y'all are good, go ahead and eat. Because I can tell you, down there near the Low Country, we had some very good food.
Yes, very good.
And we were surrounded by a lot of good people. And we wasn't even doing that, but just laughing and having a good time. No spell word, none of that stuff that people would say. But that's what it did.
It was just a regular old kickback.
We had a great time. Now, there's some Christian folks. I wouldn't dare step across their front door. I don't want to keep a mint from them because of the fact that they're so scornful.
And they be so evil. And then they call themselves, and see,
and I can honestly tell you, because of the fact that I work with a whole lot of Christians, a whole lot.
And you know.
And some of them are ministers like myself. And so oh my gosh, some of the most hateful people is in the church. I mean, hateful.
That's so true.
Hateful. But one of the things I will say, a lot of the most loving people are not in the church. And there are a lot of people who other people may or may not hang around, but But I will tell
It's
you,
true.
I would. And she can tell you, and you know it for yourself too. I don't eat, and everybody. I don't care if you're related to me.
That's also very true.
I'll be like, no, I
It's
already
true.
ate, and I make sure I take some food in the car for the kids, and I'll take them either before and after, and sometime after too. Because I'm like, y'all better swallow y'all spit.
Hey,
She would
and
not
I
let it
mean,
into our house. And in hindsight, she was not wrong. Because every time like, I remember when I was younger, she told me specifically, do not eat from, like, she said, if somebody's bringing food from their house and it's not prepackaged, they made it homemade, do not eat from their house.
I wouldn't even let her eat from one of the teachers who's on my Facebook account and probably will see this.
My bad, girl.
well, guess what though? My mom would do this to me and my sister when we grew up. We would go to church when they would have like different little potlucks or whatever, or different events. She would look me in my Sarita dead in the eye. This is what I brought.
Yep.
And this is what your grandma brought.
Yep.
And then she'd look at you like this. Meaning, in other words, don't you touch nothing else.
Look, you see the eye?
Yeah.
I do that eye. You better not touch. I don't care how hungry you is. You better not eat, because a lot of times people don't realize that people can put stuff in your food, even if it's not stuff particular. It can be an infusion or invoking. You know, somebody can want you to choke, and then you go ahead and let it choke. Speaking of that, you know what else? What else you can also think about? If somebody gives you a plate and it falls on the floor, don't go and get another plate. That means that God trying to tell you something. Because maybe you got something in there that you shouldn't have. And a lot of people are sick today because they eating around people, places, and things that don't serve them well. Why would I go ahead and eat from somebody who don't like me?
I know, right?
I'm not eating nothing off the floor. I'm sorry.
You know,
that's going straight in the trash.
My second marriage, I ain't never ate from his mother. Never ate from his sister, ever. And I've been in certain situations where I was supposed to, even a funeral setting, and I took kids to McDonald's.
That's true.
And they said, no, she ain't gonna eat from here. I didn't either.
I remember my sister ate from there one time and she got super sick after she ate. I mean, really, really sick.
But you know what I found out too? And I'm sorry, I'm answering stuff I probably shouldn't have. When I talked to the first wife, because I was the second wife. When I talked to the first wife, she said that when she ate over there, she would always get sick. Always. Oh. And when I first met them, the spirit said, don't eat nothing. I wouldn't even take a can of soda. You hear me? And there was days I was really hungry because, I had a little 9-month situation. And so I was hungry, but I was not going to eat.
The spirit tells you to leave stuff alone. You got to leave it alone.
I would not. I don't care who it is.
There were some times I wanted to eat there too, but mind you, my sister was the only person I ate from there ever, and she has been sick as a dog. I was like, how did you get sick?
I'll go to the restaurant first. I'll eat a piece of bread first. Certain places you don't do, and I grew up, and when I did that, as I was growing up, they would always say, swallow your spit. I done fed you before you done left. And you ain't hungry. You tell them you're hungry if you want to. Don't lie. And you'll eat when you come back home. But the Bible says do not eat at the table of the scornful. But I tell you what, if we go back down to the witches' houses again, that one area.
Only that one area. Not that other
area.
We won't eat there. We will bring our own food like we did last time.
Yeah. And I will bring my own food.
She will. It was a potluck anyway. So it wasn't really out of tune or anything. It was kind of normal.
The way your little eyes are going, Quanique. Aunt Mary's niece ain't having it. Aunt Mary's niece ain't having it. Them eyes is going. You like, I ain't eating that no more.
Oh my goodness. I didn't realize this. So it was written all over my face for real.
Yeah, you're like, I ain't eating that.
Yeah, that food was nasty.
But I'm funny about people who be finger licking. When you see people licking their fingers or either doing this with their hand for snot, can't eat your food. Our mom taught us that. She said, watch people's personal habits. Because if they doing like that, whatever they doing now, they do that when they fixing food.
Yep.
And if you look at chef shows, some of them chefs, if they are used to licking their fingers, they licking their fingers the whole time they cooking their food too. And put their fingers right back into it. No.
Oh, no. I'm real funny
about hold too many germs.
Because you know what happened?
What's that?
when I lived in Green, and I'm going to try not to tell the whole thing because people are on my Facebook page too. But I remember going to a church that I love them people, and I was a part of the cleaning ministry, and I love.
You talking about that old lady?
She was, and I'll never forget. I was cleaning up, and I think I was cleaning up the bathroom, and they came in. It's around New Year's, when they had that breakfast and everything for watch night service, and they came in, and that heifer ain't wash her hands. I say she ain't got to ever worry about me eating nothing from, and she could cook now. She could cook. I used to eat from her all the time. But when I saw that she went to that bathroom and did what she had to do and walked out of there without washing her hands, that was it for me. I didn't want another, and I mean that heifer could cook. She could cook her, what off, but I didn't want nothing else. That just took the taste out of my mouth. And I didn't want my kids to eat it. That thing, he greedy, he could. But no. But what? Since I'm talking about it, one of the greatest things in ministry and one of the greatest positions that I've had in ministry is to be a part of the cleaning committee. And because it taught me that people are something. They don't want to talk to you because they feel like you're beneath them because you're cleaning up toilets or the floor, the altar, and different things. But the one thing that they didn't realize, that when you're cleaning up, God is giving instructions on what to do, how to move. And thank you for that, giving you instructions on what to do, how to move, and how to do different things in life. Because I remember at that particular time, I had a bachelor's degree, and I wanted to ascend to another level. And in order for me to get there, I had to get down low. I'm teaching here. In order to get higher in any position in life, you must get down low. You cannot just go ahead and climb the ladder and think that just because you have certain things, qualifications in terms of a piece of paper, and you don't pay your dues in life. That's not the way that it works.
Because that ladder will fall. You will fall with it.
Absolutely. And one of the things I teach the kids is that if you can clean, you'll always have a job. Because even if you look at what I do spiritually, holistically, or anything that I do in ministry, it's helping people to be much better, but I'm cleaning up their lives. And as you're cleaning up people's lives and taking them through certain consultations or certain elements, you gotta get down low with folks, because you got a fight that you gotta go through. And not every fight you need to attend to. Sometimes you have to say no. I do not accept all clients and all customers and all situations. I do not, and I have the right to say no and refer you to either someone else or somebody who can do an even better job for you. Because in this industry, we know people.
That's your job. You have to know people.
Well, guess what? I just saw a video today. This barber that I follow on Instagram and locally here in this area, he brought up how he doesn't feel the need to audition. And he says a lot of times people come in because you're a barber and they'll say, oh, I like what you did. I'm going to start coming every week now. He said, but how many people actually do start coming every week?
Exactly.
And he went on to talk about auditioning throughout life. He said, not only in the barbering world, where people feel like they have to audition you like it's such a great pleasure for you to cut their hair. He said it ain't even about that. He says, because sometimes people, he said, let me give you an example. He said, if I had a regular customer that came and they paid me the bare minimum of whatever I asked for, and, then I had him versus a customer that would come late, but then pay me a lot more, which customer do you think I'm going to choose to always be loyal to? He said, actually, I'm going to be loyal to the one that pays the bare minimum. He said, because it makes no difference about what money you're paying. He said, because all money ain't good money.
All money ain't good money.
It ain't good money. And he went on to say this about it too. He said, but what matters to me is the other person is paying more money. They're not respecting my time. And he said, time is important to me.
Absolutely.
Right.
He
You,
said, the fact,
you can always make money.
Yeah, you can
that's
never.
right.
You done learn something.
And I wanted to add something else, though. But back to what I was trying to tell you about my dad, though. When he got sick the way he did, Larissa, I had a lot of bad feelings about that. And really, that's why I think it's important, what I said in the previous video in my Uncle Daryl series, why it's important for young people to let out how they feel. Because when you don't let things out, they come out in an inappropriate time.
That's true.
And I've had that happen to me twice in life. And, you know, and this second time it happened, I was around some friends of mine that I've known for a long time. And it just all came out just out of nowhere. But it was also something that needed to be said.
Mm.
So you need to let all that out. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, bottling things
But
up.
because really it was a lot of ugliness behind the situation. And sometimes parents don't realize what they do to kids to some extent sometimes too. And like with my dad, that whole situation was bad. It was weird that even though he's sitting up in a hospital room, women he used to mess around was still coming in the room to see him around his current wife. And I'm not sure whether she didn't know who these women were or what. And even I think at home, it was a woman that used to really like him. She cooked him a whole meal. I'm talking about greens, corn, everything for him and his wife to eat, and brought it over.
Oh no, I would smack
That's
her.
some pussy moves right there.
But you know, it's a lot I don't understand about that whole situation. But all I do understand is this, though. That situation helped me to come to grips and to peace with some things. It was always some things I wondered and wanted to know about my dad's side of the family. And going through that experience with my dad and having the chance to talk to him about a lot of things, and then hearing things that my aunt had to say about my dad, it helped me understand background history about why the family feels the way they feel. And, you know, and why my aunt was really very, very loyal to my dad. Because she says, I remember sometimes because your dad always, well, my granddad told me that. So your dad been working ever since he was 7 years old. He was going to always have money in his pocket, regardless. He said, and as a result of that, a lot of times, my aunt brought up, she said, a lot of times we would all have food to eat because your dad would go out and work, even as a teenager, and then bring back money or food for your grandma to cook. I said, what? So he would do that.
Say that again.
My dad would go out and work and then either bring back money or bring back food for my grandma to cook for the whole family.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that part I didn't know about. But, you know, it's a lot with that, though, because it's a difference from learning and knowing how to grow up as a man, and then you having to figure it out on your own. Because if no one's teaching you how to be a man, if no one's teaching you how to spend money, you're going to spend it foolishly. You know, at least your mom or somebody teaching you how to spend your money. But if nobody's teaching you and you just earning money and you just spend it the way you want to spend it because you've been used to having your way, that's not good either. So, and then I learned something too about my grandfather. I know both my grandfathers on both sides of the family, they, like, according to my mom, her talking about her dad, my dad talking about his dad, they were very stoic figures. They did not play games. They were just straight up like, oh, you're going to do this because of this. You don't like it. I don't care. You know, they were sort of harsh. And my grandfather, he was a police officer. He also was a World War II vet on my dad's side. And they said he didn't play games at all because what it was, he was the first black police officer in our town. And he couldn't even arrest white people at that time when he was a police officer.
Oh, wow.
So he said when my granddad hit the door, he had no time for no bull crap. He cussed you out quick. And he just didn't play games. But he grew up in his life, he didn't have a mom. His mom died when he was just a few months old. So he didn't really know his mom. And my dad told me this. He said, I don't care what nobody tells you. Whenever a person grows up without their mom, that affects them dramatically. They don't see things the same way. And it's true.
Yep.
So, and a lot of people who are kids or parents who didn't have their dads or have their moms, they'll tell you, them people are sort of harsh. But one thing that all this taught me, though, in conclusion, I learned this about my dad. I used to always say, you know how it is, you look at people in relationships, you said, well, I don't hate the person, I hate their ways. And maybe if they change this about themselves, I'd like them more.
I don't know about that.
But you know what I learned, though? I learned to accept people for how they are. And even if, you know, I still say I deal with my dad's side of the family good when I don't talk to them for a long period of time. I deal with that. I deal with a lot of family members that way. I'm good.
But you know what? This is the thing that I want to kind of interject, because we forgot to ask people to like, share, subscribe, and comment. So, but we also need them to know how to get in contact with you, Uncle Daryl. Could you tell them, please?
Uncle Daryl I have a channel on YouTube, and it's under the name Daryl Speaks, because I tried to change it to Uncle Daryl, but then I did change it, but then it reversed my email because it was connected to Google. So then whenever I do emails, whether they're personal or whatever, it's saying Uncle Daryl. So I said, no, I can't do that.
Okay.
But it's under the Daryl Speaks channel, but it's the Uncle Daryl series, though. But I do movie reviews. I talk about a lot of issues like we're talking about today. And you would have it's a lot of information I like to discuss. Mm-hmm. And also you can Cash App me. I can see your Cash App going across there, Aunt Mary's niece, $ Aunt Mary's niece. Mine is $ Daryl, Daryl, speaks, like someone talking, SPEAKS.
Mm-hmm. Well, you want me to change it and put yours up there too?
You can if you like, yeah.
Okay, let me get out of this full screen, and if you could continue to talk while I get that done.
But here's what I learned though, Larissa, though. A lot of things about our parents we cannot change. And you know what? You have to come to peace with it. You know what movie helped me come to peace with that was Kingdom Come. Kingdom Come, LL Cool J's father died, but he never liked his dad. And everybody that knew his dad said he was mean and surly. And the mother was played by Whoopi Goldberg. And guess what she told him? Mm-hmm. She said, you know what? When I was married, years ago, me and your dad, I used to knit. She said, remember I used to knit all the time? She said, I lost one of my knitting needles. I looked all over the house, couldn't find it. Asked your dad where it was. I didn't see it. She said, now after your father passed away, I was looking through some of his drawers, and guess what I found? That knitting needle that I was looking for years ago. She said, my point is this. She said, sometimes you might feel bad about something. You might not like somebody, but own the way you feel. And however you feel about it is how you feel. And, I'm learning now because I do want to keep a good spiritual countenance at all times. I don't hold on to anything. I try to let everything go the same day within the next hour or two. If I'm mad about something, to let it go. And we all have to tell ourselves, let it go. Because while you're mad about something, or you're mad about something that someone did, well, all that does is this. That person goes on about their life, ain't thinking about you. And you still mad about what they did. And then also, if you get to a place where you just avoid certain people in certain places because you don't see them at all. Mm. You don't want to see them. That's almost like that person has control over you. Mm. Now, one thing about myself now is, at this age that I'm at now, almost 43, I'm like this now. If it's something I gotta say, I'm gonna say it. Mm-hmm. And I'm not going to think twice about what you think about it. Because at the end of the day, guess what? I'm going to be able to have a good night's sleep.
I know, right?
I'm not going to sit there and be stressed about it. But at the same time, though, with parents, you do have to be sort of different with that, though, because these are the people who help bring you into the world. And then, like, whatever greatness that you have, a lot of that came from both of them parents, whether you want to acknowledge it or not. And I had to realize that about my dad and mom, too. It was a lot of great things that came from my dad's side. A lot of great things about who I am, even though I may not be nothing like him. It was some things that came from that.
That's true. There's a lot of things I picked up from my dad.
So I salute them on that. But as far as like a lot of things, we may never get along about. And at the end of the day, that's fine too. Because I've learned one thing. I can sit there and get mad at somebody, and then they can give me a fake half-hearted apology about it. Oh, I didn't know that made you feel that way. But if you're going to do it again, you ain't really sorry. And guess what? I can't change who you are. Because you've been the way you are longer than I've been living. So that's how I feel about parents. And now I'm at this point. It's an old song by Natalie Merchant, Aunt Mary's niece, and Larissa. It was called "I May Know the Word, Never Say It." And that song, it says, I will turn my head in indifference.
Mm.
And that's the way I feel sometimes, because my thing is this, though. I'm not going to withhold information. But if I told you something one time and you didn't want to listen to it, guess what? I'm not going to say it again. And if I see that you hard-headed and don't want to receive the message I'm giving, I'm fine with that too.
Thank you, Your Pleasure 721, for subscribing to Daryl.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate you, Your Pleasure. And thank you for your comments on my videos as well. I remember you. Thank you so much for your continued support.
Also, thank you, Your Pleasure 721, for subscribing to my channel as well. I appreciate that.
But one of the things I like, it was something that you said that kind of helped me to bring this broadcast forward. And
What's
also the support of Your Pleasure 721. Both of you all did a lot of encouragement behind the scenes. And so I want to give you all thanks for that. But one of your videos talked about how you love your body and you approve of yourself.
Yes.
And, one of the reasons why I didn't want to come on at one point in time, because I was like, I'm kind of chubby, this, that, and the third. But you know what? I'm still here, just like how Whoopi Goldberg said in The Color Purple.
Yes.
So I'm so happy about being still here, and so, take me as I am, because I'm who I am. And you know what it is.
Guess what I say? There's somebody out there that loves you just for you, being the way you are. All right now.
I am.
Exactly. So when you look at life like that, because some people don't look at it that way though. Sometimes we try to change ourselves, we end up like skinny Oprah. When Oprah got skinny, she didn't look all that cute.
Mm-mm.
She looked okay, but something about it looked like.
That's like I love her being fat.
Yes, because that's just her.
Mm-hmm.
And I think she's accepted that now. And that's the big thing, to be able to accept yourself. Like me, I look at myself even down to my ugly toenail. I love my ugly toenail, but guess what? The ugly toenail is the thing that gives me uniqueness. It's almost, I think that's what I like about mannequin collecting. Because whenever I collect something, I make it my own. I put a unique stamp on it. I've always been that way. And my thing is, what one person may call ugly, I call it art. I call it beauty.
Absolutely.
And then, that's the way a person that's in love with you probably is. Or with me. They're going to look at us and be like, they're beautiful.
They love my little ham hocks. They love some me. And you know what? I love the fact that they love some me.
And Shaka Khan has a new song out called I'm in Love with Myself. I love that whole video. You would love it too, Aunt Mary's niece, and Your Pleasure. The video show. Have you seen the video? Have you seen it?
No.
It's everything, because guess what she does? She's coming home from like a singing engagement, and you can hear her voice in the background singing a cappella through the fire. She's walking up the steps of her house.
You talking Through the Fire? I heard that song.
Yeah, Shaka Khan's, but it's a new song video of hers called I'm in Love with Myself.
Okay.
And the video is cool because guess what? They show her getting up to her bedroom, sitting in front of her little vanity set with a mirror. And she's looking at these silver plated picture frames of old pictures of herself and her family and everything. And then she even says in the song, I'm good people. She said, I'm in love with myself. You gotta hear the song, you love it. But I love how she says, I'm good people.
Well, you know what? I've always loved Shaka Khan because she is so fierce. Matter of fact, I made a product while I was thinking about her called the Shaka Khan because of her. And even when you look back on it and you do the research behind it, you're going to find out it has more of a spiritual impact than most people think, and what her name means and things of that nature. She took time to really put it out there without putting it out there. So I just love her name.
I love who she is. And that's my birthday twin. We're born the same day.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
March 23rd. Yes.
I love that Through the Fire. And I think
I love all her music.
Or my favorite one that I normally use when I'm teaching the class, and to try to kind of uplift the class is "Tell Me Something Good." Because you remember Buster Brown used to always do that in Greensboro, and so I thank God for him doing that. I'm not sure where you at, Buster Brown, but I remember you giving me a great opportunity and me blowing it. So I want to thank you for first believing in me, and I apologize that I blew the experience. So. But I never forgot you, and I've always tried to play it as I played the song in remembrance of you and the opportunity that you gave me after the movie In the Pursuit of Happiness at the movie theater at that time. But nevertheless, what else you want to talk about? They get to see how we just go.
But I always say, as far as self-image, though, I says I'm a diamond. And I'm forever cutting cutting, and you know how a diamond has clarity and cut to it. And as you continue to cut a diamond, it becomes better looking over time. That's the way I look at myself.
That is so true. And you know what? And I keep on trying to hide my little double chin, but I'm not going to hide it because hey, I'm still here, y'all. I'm still here.
And we're glad you're still here. And that's the thing we all have to look at some days. We are still here in this land of the living. And God obviously means for us to make big efforts to change the world, or else we wouldn't have we came here winners anyway, if you think about it.
Born with it.
Yeah.
I'm surprised, Hoodoo Honcho, you ain't saying nothing. Mini niece, why are you not engaging?
Because I'm listening.
Oh, she listening. Oh my goodness, that's my little mini me. And you come on and join us. That's why you're here, so that you can engage.
I did engage. I said what I said. I said that if I could marry myself, I would.
Oh Lord, she did say that a lot of times. Please don't say the other stuff to come with it. But you know what? We might need to do a show on marrying yourself and dating yourself.
There's actually this one lady who was able to marry herself. So if I have ever get the opportunity to marry myself, I would marry myself. It would be Hoodoo Honcho marrying Larissa Walks.
So you really have to give it some thoughts.
No, I really would marry myself. Like, seriously, nobody knows me better than me. So why not be married to me? I'd buy myself my own ring. And I know what I like too. So I'm not going to be able to fake as if I like the ring that he gives me and I don't.
Oh, goodness. This child of mine. Oh, my goodness. This child of mine.
What? Some of y'all be lying. I know y'all don't like that ugly ring.
And that's how I kind of feel it.
But I guess for y'all, it's the thought that counts. But
Oh wow.
I'm saying, nah. Seriously. I mean, why wouldn't you marry yourself? Why waste time with everybody else when you can just put that time towards you? After all,
that's another conversation. I'm not willing to have that right now. But you know what? I'm glad you brought it up because that makes an interesting topic. Why not?
Marrying yourself.
Yes.
You might title that experience.
I technically have already married myself. You know what I mean? My best experiences have been with myself. So
I am too scared to ask some questions. Please, Lord, help me.
You love the Shaka Khan song, I'm in love with myself.
I'm just not ready.
But I'm loving that song. They actually show Shaka Khan's children and grandkids. They're all coming in the room saying hello to him. I'm eating.
But don't worry about it. We normally have a mukbang too.
But we ate before we got on camera, so yeah. But yeah, I would 100% marry myself. I would. You know what? I could talk about that. I really could, because there's no reason why I wouldn't want to marry this amazing, fine, delightful woman as myself.
But what happens when Aunt Mary's niece and Larissa Mini-Me, what happens when a certain gentleman comes along and they love you, they show interest in you, and you start wanting to you have feelings? Have you betrayed yourself? Because now there's someone new in the relationship? Do you
No.
divorce yourself?
No, I wouldn't divorce myself because number one, that's not my issue. I give fair warnings. I give fair warnings for people who want to be in a relationship with me. I'm like, okay, you sure you can, handle all the ropes? And who else can handle all the ropes better than me? So that's handle all the ropes. Me. There's a lot of strings that tie into making this one rope. Can you handle all of those many strings that build this incredibly strong, durable rope? No. That's why I would marry myself.
You are definitely my child. Lord have mercy.
That's not my issue if you want to marry me and I'm already married. That seems like a you problem. I would suggest you go get that fixed.
You something. I think that's my favorite term of 2021, where I kind of don't have any words to describe what it is I'm experiencing with someone. You did something.
No, I don't have no shame about it. I'm not sure why everybody else would be ashamed. I know there's millions of people that feel the same way. I'm just going to say it. I mean, I don't care about the scrutiny. You can say what you want, but let's not act like I'm not making a good point.
I'm not dismissing what you're saying. Your point is very valid. It's just kind of shocking that you would say it out loud. That's all. They can't see you.
I really care.
But you want to know something, though? I think it is important, though, for especially young ladies to be able to know who they are and love themselves first.
Absolutely.
Before they get into all these relationships with these guys.
Mm-hmm.
And then they get confused later and think, oh, nobody makes me feel this way except Andre or whoever it is.
That's a shame.
And
because
that becomes,
somebody else learn you before you learn you. That's so stupid.
Miss Megan.
They had this topic on Oprah one time.
Is it that topic we talked about last week?
Oh yeah, that was a big controversy on Oprah about that.
Okay, so we can talk about it because she's old enough to know. I would rather have the conversation with her than for her to go down the road or the street and have to hear it from somebody else. I think
Oprah got under a lot of scrutiny because this woman who was a I would guess you would say psychologist or a therapist.
Mm-hmm.
It was a whole mother-daughter segment, a whole mother-daughter show. All the mothers and daughters in the audience with these teenage girls.
Mm-hmm.
And the woman was saying she felt like girls needed to know who they were and love themselves first, because she says when you get in relationships with these guys, you get it misconstrued when the feelings really, I'll be honest with you what the woman meant.
You
the reason why, huh?
That's what you're talking about?
You talking about masturbation, flicking the bean or something?
Exactly, because the woman was saying that girls should learn to do that for themselves, so that way that they'll never be able to tie those feelings to a particular person or man.
Exactly.
As being the one that gave them these feelings and then going through about bad relationships.
Say it again. Say it again, because it's a real shame that most of these, and it's, you know what, it's a lot of people that I know too. Most of y'all don't even know how y'all gonna let somebody else learn your body and not you learn your body, and that's your body. That is so stupid. Learn what you like before somebody else learns what you like, so that way you can tell them, oh, I don't like this, do this. Oh, I don't like that, do that. It's just real, it's real sad, real disappointing, real embarrassing to find out that y'all don't even, all these things,
Okay, well, let me say this. I'm her mother, and before I get any scrutiny, in my household, we are very honest with one another.
And very open.
Very open with one another. The reason being is because I never want anyone in the public or private to come to my children and say, if you tell your mother this, I'm going to do this to her or your siblings, or threaten or say she won't love you. Because everybody know I'm going to love my kids throughout any situation. However, even though we have these discussions and we're very open in the family, because I come from a family where we discuss a whole lot of things so that we won't have to go out there to find out what's going on the inside. It don't mean that I condone her doing certain things that we might discuss.
Of course she don't. Because that's my mom. Of course she wouldn't condone me doing any of this.
But I do condone having the discussion and having an open door, because it makes no sense if I can have an open conversation
with pure strangers
with
and not with her
strangers.
own kids that she pushed out.
Exactly. I'm going to have a darn conversation with my kids before I have a conversation with someone else, because my duty as the mother is to train and to develop my children so they can be a good civilian, a holistic person. So that's my duty,
to be the best them of their abilities. And I mean, kids have this type of platform to where they're able to say what I'm about to say.
Oh Lord, what are you about to say?
Okay. Okay, now listen.
Oh no.
Back to what I was saying about knowing yourself. Okay? And there's a lot of people that let...
The food is in the microwave.
It's actually right... Yeah, it's in the microwave right there. It's some leftover fish. It got holes in it, though, so be careful. You can eat some bread. Now...
Don't you sound like your mother? Go ahead.
Are you going to let me be able to say this without you making any weird faces?
Okay. I'm not going to make any weird faces. You're not going to make a weird face.
Okay.
I do.
I'm just going to go out and say it because I've already said this before, but I'm going to say it again. The clitoris has 8,000 nerves. Okay? That's a fact.
You should see I'm a Daryl. You should see. Oh God, I didn't think.
Wait, where did he go? Where did he go?
Oh my God.
We're live. We're live. We're live.
You should have seen his face.
What?
Look, I'm trying not to cut up. We are on live.
I'm just saying. You telling me that the clitoris has 1,000 nerves? You can't stimulate one. You gonna let somebody else do it for you? That is so weird. It's your body. Know yourself before you let somebody else know yourself. That's where a lot of people mess up, because many people don't understand themselves. They don't know themselves.
And you know what? That's actually a conversation that got us. I'm about to say guys. I'm sorry. The OBGYN said, and I think also, if a lot of parents would have open discussions, we wouldn't have
so many teen pregnancies because
they have to have an outlet to talk, so they won't have an outlet to do.
Exactly.
You're still a virgin, I hope.
That's another conversation. But
Lord help me. But we'll have that conversation when we get off the platform.
I've had my,
Oh. You know what? I really wish my mother was living. You know why? Because I don't think I've grown enough to hear this.
Oh Lord.
Why? Or my Aunt Shell, because this in my mind, I had the plan to let her have this discussion with my daughter, because that's also was her godmother. Please rest in peace. Because my aunt, she took me to my first nightclub at age 14. And so, she was a fun aunt, but I didn't think that I would have to do all of this. It's a whole lot of stuff I'm responsible for. A whole lot of stuff. I don't even know.
It's best that you know.
Yeah, it is best that I know. Girl, I almost want to say, really? Oh my
but seriously though, but it all ties into what Uncle Daryl says. You have to know yourself better than anybody else knows you.
That's very true.
Which is exactly why I would marry myself, because I know what I like. And
we're not gonna tell the people what you like.
No.
Something
this isn't anything sexual.
I know. I'm just saying. I just want to make sure that I'm keeping your respect. You're a young lady, and
talking about
there's certain stuff,
food and things like that. Telling people what you like to eat and what you don't like to eat, and eating their food, and it's nasty, but you got to be nice about it. That's disrespectful to me.
You see how she put that thing?
And women also have to maintain their mystery. Women always have to maintain their mystery.
Maintain your mystery, because who knows? When I'm talking about how I'm being loved, that can be true, that can be false. Never know.
Mama, your face tells it before you do. You can tell if you tell him.
But do you see the evidence outside my face? No. You don't. I'm just minding my own little business.
But yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, I agree with you, Uncle Daryl. That's why I just, I'd marry myself. That's a whole nother discussion for a whole nother day. But to sum it all up, yeah, I would.
But in conclusion, though,
Mm-hmm.
I think the important thing is, though, that whenever you do feel like that you want to take it to another level with somebody physically, let it be someone who truly does love you no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
That they honor your presence and they love your presence. They like your good, your bad, your everything. Don't waste your time with people just because you think that, they
You
just
never
gonna
know
be
it's
this.
like this.
Right.
Yeah, don't get caught up into all this sex stuff like a lot of us did.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's a bad road, I tell you.
Mm-hmm.
It's not
And
even
then
fun.
once that's like almost like you Adam and Eve again eating off the tree. You were
Mm-hmm.
like, well, God, why did I touch this fruit?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Some foods just ain't even worth being touched, looked at, or smelled.
That's also very true.
Mm-hmm. Some things you gotta keep.
Some things it's
Or
just
sometimes the blessing is not having. One of the things that one of my mentors like to say, don't get what you want and lost what you had.
that's very true.
And so that goes great in relationships, people, places, and things. You never want to lose yourself in someone else. So I value what you said, thinking about it from another perspective. You have to know yourself. And that's one of the things I always say, know thyself. And that's also in the Bible. That's a scripture. I know it's in Luke. It might be in Matthew too.
Like I remember every time. Remember we was in public school. Okay, and I remember every single time that you dropped me off. You said, "Remember who you are and who you belong to." And then you told me to get out your car because I was late.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I tell all of you all that. Don't forget who you are and who you belong to. Mm-hmm. And you see it stuck well with your Marine Corps brother.
Can't believe he decided to go to the Marines.
I can.
And you're so proud of him.
Mm-hmm.
So disappointed.
So we sending you love.
No, you're proud too. You just don't know it yet.
Yeah, we sending him love, peace, and blessings. And remember to make yourself proud so that you will make us proud too.
Yeah.
Because making yourself proud first is more important.
To anybody
God. Mm-hmm. Go with God. Do what He tell you to do, and even if I don't like it, go with Him, and eventually I catch up. Mm-hmm.
I think.
But you know what? We have talked about a whole lot of stuff. This has been time well spent.
Yes.
And I value the fact that you would come on my platform and share with us. And I want to make sure that others go to your platform and share with you, because I love, especially your Wednesdays, your Wednesday wisdom or wisdom Wednesdays. I appreciate that, and how you do it on Thursday. That right there is this. It's a blessing. And a lot of times in the morning, I would get the kids up so that they can see it as part of our good morning cheer or what have you. I forgot what we called it, but the thing that you do to get some wisdom.
Devotion?
Early, almost like a devotion, because he's teaching you things along the way. So I thank you for teaching my children, who are currently homeschooled, some wisdom that you have learned along the way, and it may not have been a channel for that, but it has progressed, at least in my household, for it. I thank you for the wisdom that you have in fashion and not giving up on me, because that wasn't an area of my expertise. So when I don't know something, I go find somebody else who do. And, I don't mind saying publicly that had it not been for what the instructions you gave me, so I get my new hat. Everybody see my new hat? I got the name or something. But had it not been for your instructions, I wouldn't have my new hat and know where to go out of town to get it. So I thank you for that, and being my Aggie brother, but not only that, being my Christian brother. Even though I don't necessarily say I'm Christian, because I don't know. Sometimes people
we are brother and sister outside of the church.
Yeah, we're definitely, thank you for being an uncle to my children, being a great godfather. And to be honest with you, everybody, I want you to look at Uncle Daryl. I want you to be able to see he was the first person to tell me about parenting classes, because when I was pregnant with his godson, and that was more than 18 years ago, he actually went and took a parenting class at our formal church. I didn't even know that existed.
Me neither. I saw it.
Mm-hmm. And took the class. and brought it back what he learned. And then years later, I became a certified parent instructor. But I first saw it through him and his demonstration. And I will honestly tell you too, every week he would come by and see how Daniel was doing and bought a lot of educational toys. He actually taught me how to buy you all educational toys.
Yeah, I actually remember Uncle Daryl. I remember we was on this. I'm not sure if you remember this. I remember he gave me. I was like a little itty little baby, and I'll never forget this. One thing about me, if you give me food, I'll never forget you ever. So, however your food is, will always determine. That's how I will always remember you.
Oh my gosh, like that food that smelled so good and had no taste.
Yeah, I'll never forget that.
Oh God,
that was disrespectful.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember I was a wee little baby. I was in my walker. I was learning how to walk, and I'll never forget that he gave me. Everybody was. I think it was like some type of cookout. It was on the patio. Some type of cookout. I'll never forget that he gave me peanut M&Ms. It was a red one, a blue one, and a yellow one. That made my day.
Oh Lord.
That made my. And it was just. It's just a good memory, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, now you're gonna laugh about my niece and nephew, because guess what they did to me?
What did
My
they do?
niece, when she was about 2 years old, a year and a half, 2 years old, she could talk when she wanted to, but she wouldn't. But whenever she looked at me, not Uncle Daryl, food, food. That's what she would literally call me, food. I'm like, my name is not food. Food. And we would go through this every day. You know, Johanna?
Yeah.
We would go through this. Food. Or either she'd say, pick me up. Pick me up. They were hilarious. Still are. Kids are funny.
Yes, they are.
And one time, me and Sarita, we were sitting in the kitchen just talking. And Eli was waiting for his breakfast. He was in his own little world, humming and talking and singing. And all of a sudden, he just says, "You're not feeding me." And me and Rita looked at each other. We fell out laughing. We was like, "What in the world?"
Can you tell the story about? Because we talked about it, but you didn't tell your story, and I thought you was going to.
Well, what?
The story you told on your platform about your brother-in-law and what he wasn't supposed to eat from these people.
Oh my gosh, that was, oh gosh. All right, here's what happened. So Rita had apparently told her husband, you know, when they go down to my grandmother's house, you know, there's some relatives whose food, you know, not to eat. Lo and behold, he waits until we get in line to eat food. And the people that he wasn't supposed to eat from, they're like right there at me. Like one's right behind me, one's right in front of me.
You listening?
Hey Daryl, what's the food that I can eat and what's the food I can't eat? And when he says it, I look on one hand, I see one of the aunts he's not supposed to be eating from. Look on the other hand, and I see the other aunt he's not supposed to be eating from, and they looking dead at me. And I just think, oh, okay.
You need to hear what he said.
I'm listening.
You tell her
He didn't care. And when I told Sarita, she fell out laughing. Rita was done. She said, he did what? I said, he asked me in front of the people. The relatives that were the ones that he wasn't supposed to be eating from, they right there near him, and they heard exactly what he said. And they were just looking at him, looking at me, and I'm looking at them. I said, you can eat whatever you like. Because at that point, you know, what am I going to say? Oh, don't eat this hard food. I mean, he put me on Front Street. He put me on Front Street, y'all.
That was a mess.
He slammed put me on Front Street. I wasn't ready for that at all. Putting me on Front Street with them people in our family.
But you know what? I want to invite you to come back so we can also talk about some of the people in our family who help shape our life, our minds, and the abilities. Because even though that some of this stuff is very comical, it existed, it happened, and
yeah, it happened.
we're the way we are because of them. And
yes,
we
Lord.
You know, 'cause I would love, you know, I'm always talking about a certain area where I learned how to really get along with people because of that particular family area. And so, you know, one day we're gonna have to talk about that.
Is it CONWAY?
You got some audacity to spell it out. Yeah, goodness. You know, they're on my first Facebook page too.
Huh.
Yes. They really did. They taught me how to get along with people from
Yeah, I know what that is.
you. Mm-hmm.
Well, we had a discussion about that one time. You said you wait one hot damn minute.
You know, I love my family. Lord have mercy. You know, some things might be a little bit backwards in some aspects, but I love them people because they're funny to me.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, fun too.
I feel like that movie, Sweet Home Alabama. You remember that girl? She was a fashion designer. She came back to her hometown and she had to own up who her family was after she had left and acted like they didn't exist.
For real? Why?
Reese Witherspoon played that role. And what the funny thing was, once she got back home and her boyfriend, her fiance, had to meet her family.
Mm-hmm.
As crazy as they were, and they were acting around, she said, "This is my mom. And this is my dad." And she said, "This is my family." And she was just accepting of it at that point. Like, this is what it is. Despite what you think I am or what you thought I was when I lived in New York, this is the real deal.
Wow. You know, you just gave me an idea.
What's that?
Because I want to conclude the segment. Because we actually been on here for 2 hours and 5 minutes. And I wanted to kind of do something this year, and I haven't done it. And so I think I'm going to pick a card.
Okay.
And so when I pick the card, whoever looks at this is the thought that they probably need to have for their week going forward. So many need to pick it out.
Okay.
And I have 4 sets of cards, so it might be one of each, depending upon if it's a major or minor arcana. Okay, so this right here is the princess of this. So if there's anybody who's young that's watching this, you need to be working towards your money. We're looking at young money, not long money, short money. So that's what you need to be thinking of. Opportunity to bring in more money for the short-term purpose. Can I pick another one?
Yes.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that today, actually.
Okay. So let me show these cards. I just feel led to do it. So everybody know that I read playing cards. I love reading playing cards. That's my favorite. Even though I can't read tarot, that was a tarot collection, and that was the princess of this. And anybody know this means money, short-term money, because it's princess. Okay, the next card came out. Evaluate terms of partnership. You need to look at the risks and the benefits of such partnership before you go and get that short-term money. I'm gonna pull another card. This is from my Hoodoo deck, the Hoodoo Tarot. I just got this about a month or so ago. Last month, this month. I think maybe this month.
Yeah, this month.
Okay, and I think this might be the first time I'm doing a reading with these cards. Let me keep on shuffling. So this
came out in reverse.
Oh, this is Miss Ida. Watch what you do and how you do it. It came out in reverse. Watch what you do, how you do it with people, partnerships, everybody you can't partner with when you're long-term money. Oracle cards, we're gonna clarify. Why you just smiling back there? You like this? How I end the show?
I'm liking it.
You think I should do this?
Yeah. I like it.
This is the oracle card to help explain. And this came out perseverance for money and finding people, places, and things. You're gonna be careful and persevere in situations in order to get this money, and you're gonna be ever watchful. Watch what people do, not what they say, because that's a risk involved. Hopefully, you can see the risk. And then the Princess of This came out. So, without further ado, if you ever need a reading or a consultation, I specialize in self-love consultations, parenting, or anything of that nature. It's very down to earth, something that there's a little bit of something that everybody can have. Not only do I have services, but products also that are custom made to the person. And if you don't believe me, just go check it out. I got plenty of testimonies that tell you that I'm the truth gifted in the light. So just go to Aunt Mary's Niece at www.auntmarysniece.com. Make sure you put an S behind Mary. And if you found any value, sure to send a donation or speak sign Daryl Speaks and $ AuntMaryNiece.com. Oh, Aunt Mary Niece. And guess what? You never know. I might just send out a great prayer for you or anything. Because remember, you get what you put in. Nothing for nothing, leave it up. You never want somebody to pray for you, even if you go into your personal church without you leaving some type of offering or donation, because you don't want to be cursed with a curse.
True.
So without further ado, what else are we gonna do? You want to sing a song?
No.
Now, do you have any last? She ain't the one to sing. I don't know why I asked her that. But do you have any further comments that you want to kind of recap or say anything? How they can get in contact with you?
You can get in contact with me on YouTube under the Daryl Speaks channel for Uncle Daryl. And you can look at different movie reviews that I have, as well as Wisdom Wednesdays that Aunt Mary's niece mentioned earlier, as well as my discussion, questions answered, where you can hit me up. Really, you can reach me also on Instagram and Facebook by Antonia Cezur. That's another personality, a name that I have. And you can reach me that way as well.
Mm-hmm.
You can also
see my face when you Google me.
Okay, and I forgot to tell you all can follow me on Aunt Mary's Niece on Instagram, and sometimes I'm on speaker, very rarely, but sometimes I am on speaker or stereo app. But we also have the Hoodoo Honcho.
You can find me on Instagram at @isthatlarissa. Yes, #Larissa. Hit me up, DM me. You do what you gotta do. You know what? I'm always here for y'all. So yeah, and also make sure y'all give an offering. Just put it in like the offering box for Hoodoo Honcho, and they'll come to me. Thank y'all.
So we bid you peace and blessings, and we thank you for the experience. We thank you for allowing us to come into your homes, your workplaces, your cars, over the air, wherever you may be, in public and private. We thank you for just being an audience member, and we look forward to seeing you do greater things than we have done, we have discussed, and that we are. So without further ado, we bid you farewell. Thank you.
Ashe.
Thank you. Thank you, and Ashe.